Imagine walking into a room where every eye turns to you not out of mere curiosity, but out of something deeper. Some feel admiration, others feel a quiet fear, but all of them recognize something undeniable. You are someone who commands attention, someone who is not easily ignored, someone who carries an air of power that cannot be faked. This is not about arrogance or empty dominance. It is about something far more effective, a presence that demands both fear and respect. A delicate balance that very few achieve. Most people either lean too far in one direction, becoming weak and forgettable, or they try to dominate through intimidation, only to be seen as tyrannical and untrustworthy. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this dilemma better than anyone. Machiavelli is often misunderstood. His name has become synonymous with manipulation and ruthlessness, but that is only a fragment of what he truly taught. He was not a man who glorified cruelty for its own sake. He was a strategist who understood human nature at its most raw and unfiltered level. His insights were not about morality or ideology. They were about what actually works in the pursuit of power, survival, and influence. He knew that in the real world, kindness alone is not enough. That simply being good does not guarantee loyalty, success, or safety. He saw leaders who relied solely on goodwill get betrayed, overthrown, and forgotten. And he saw those who ruled with fear maintain control far longer. But here is the key. Machiavelli never said that fear should be the only tool. He said it should be one tool among many. Because while fear can keep people in line, respect is what makes them follow you willingly. Fear alone creates enemies, but fear combined with respect creates authority. The question is, how do you achieve this balance? Machiavelli believed that to be feared and respected, you must master three principles: control of perception, strategic ruthlessness, and selective generosity. These are not just ideas for rulers. They apply to everyday life. Whether you are leading a team, running a business, or simply navigating social dynamics, the ability to project strength without unnecessary cruelty is one of the most powerful skills you can have. Think about the last time you instinctively respected someone before they even said a word. Maybe it was the way they carried themselves, the confidence in their posture, the controlled intensity in their eyes. Now think of the opposite. Someone who, despite their words, never truly commanded attention. Their voice lacked weight, their presence felt unremarkable, and no matter how much they tried to prove themselves, they were simply overlooked. Machiavelli understood something that many never realize. How you are perceived is often more important than who you actually are. People do not have the time or the inclination to investigate your every move, analyze your every decision, or understand your true intentions. They judge you quickly, often within seconds, and that judgment dictates how they treat you. This is why rulers, leaders, and powerful figures throughout history have not only acted with strength, but ensured that their appearance of strength was unshakable. Machiavelli famously wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can touch." In other words, the perception of power often matters more than actual power itself. A ruler who seems invincible will be treated as such, even if he is weaker than he appears. A leader who seems confident and in control will inspire loyalty, even if he has doubts behind closed doors. This is why Machiavelli insisted that a great leader must cultivate an image of authority, decisiveness, and confidence, whether they feel it internally or not. But this does not mean playing a role or being fake. It means understanding that the world does not reward those who expect to be seen a certain way. It rewards those who craft their presence deliberately, and this principle applies everywhere, not just in politics. Consider a workplace. Two employees have the same level of competence, but one speaks with certainty, holds eye contact, and acts as if their decisions are final. The other hesitates, softens their statements, and constantly seeks approval. Who do you think will be respected more? Who will be given opportunities? It is almost never the person who is merely good at their job. It is the one who projects leadership. Machiavelli would argue that it is not enough to be good. You must also be seen as strong, and the way to achieve this is through control of perception. This means speaking with clarity and confidence, never revealing uncertainty unless necessary, moving with purpose, never appearing hesitant or lost in your actions, understanding that people respect what they believe is powerful, rare, and unshakable. This does not mean being arrogant, nor does it mean faking competence where there is none. It means owning your presence. Because in the real world, people do not wait to be convinced. You either command respect upon arrival, or you spend a lifetime trying to earn it. But perception alone is not enough. Machiavelli knew that fear and respect require more than just a strong presence. They require action, and this is where strategic ruthlessness comes in. Machiavelli did not believe in cruelty for the sake of cruelty, nor did he advocate for meaningless brutality. But he understood a truth that many refuse to accept. Power is not sustained by kindness alone. Strength, control, and at times a willingness to act with calculated ruthlessness are what separate those who lead from those who are ruled. Many misinterpret Machiavelli's famous statement that it is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, they assume he meant that a leader must be a tyrant, a heartless oppressor who rules with an iron fist, but that is not what he meant at all. His argument was simple: love is fragile, fear is reliable. People may admire those they love, but love is conditional, easily swayed by emotions, circumstances, and time. A leader who relies on being loved will always be at the mercy of the people's whims, trying to please them, to keep their favor, to avoid their disappointment. But fear? Fear ensures obedience, even when admiration fades. Fear creates a barrier against betrayal, because those who fear you will think twice before challenging you. This does not mean that cruelty should be the foundation of power. Machiavelli warns that unnecessary brutality breeds resentment. A leader who is feared but not respected is only safe for as long as they maintain absolute control. The moment their grip loosens, they are overthrown, hated with a passion that ensures their fall will be merciless. This is why Machiavelli stressed balance. A leader must be firm, decisive, and at times even harsh, but always with purpose. He must never be cruel just to satisfy ego or anger, but rather only when it is necessary to maintain order, enforce discipline, or prevent greater instability. Think of history's strongest rulers, the ones who lasted. They did not hesitate when difficult decisions had to be made. They knew that appearing weak was often more dangerous than taking ruthless action. Consider a general in battle. If discipline breaks down, if soldiers begin to waver, the entire army could collapse. A strong leader will punish one to save thousands. This is not about being merciless. It is about understanding the cost of weakness. The same principle applies in everyday life. Look at the people who command authority in business, politics, or social circles. They are not cruel, but they set boundaries. They do not let others walk over them. They do not hesitate to cut off those who betray them, to assert themselves when challenged, or to make decisions that others fear to make. They do not seek to be feared, but they understand that a controlled amount of distance, decisiveness, and even intimidation ensures respect. Machiavelli believed that one of the greatest weaknesses a leader could have was the fear of being disliked. Many fall into this trap. They avoid difficult conversations. They let disrespect slide. They try to please everyone. But a leader who is too afraid to make enemies will eventually have none but his own followers turn against him. The world does not respect those who desperately seek approval. It respects those who stand firm, act decisively, and command attention without begging for it. But this raises a crucial question. How does one balance fear and respect? How does a leader ensure that they are taken seriously without being hated? This is where Machiavelli's most powerful lesson comes in: the ability to appear virtuous while always being prepared for battle. Machiavelli did not reject morality outright. He simply saw it for what it was: a tool, a weapon that could be wielded by those who understood its function. A leader who is truly virtuous in all circumstances is not noble, he is naive. The world does not reward blind honesty, nor does it respect those who refuse to adapt. Instead, it favors those who know when to be kind and when to be ruthless, when to tell the truth and when to remain silent, when to be generous and when to withhold. This is why he wrote that a leader must learn to be both the fox and the lion. The lion is strong, fearless, and commands power through force, but brute strength alone is not enough. The fox is cunning, deceptive when necessary, able to navigate dangers that strength cannot overcome. A leader who relies only on force will eventually face an enemy stronger than himself. But a leader who knows when to deceive, when to retreat, when to manipulate perception, he is untouchable. Machiavelli recognized that most people are not driven by pure reason, but by emotion and perception. This is why great leaders throughout history have mastered the art of appearing just, appearing noble, appearing compassionate, while never hesitating to act in their own best interest when the moment requires it. Think about the most respected figures in history. Many were not saints. They made difficult, sometimes ruthless decisions, but they understood timing, optics, and the power of perception. A leader who is openly cruel will be despised, but a leader who maintains a facade of honor and respectability while enforcing discipline in the shadows, he is feared, respected, and rarely questioned. This lesson is not just for rulers and politicians. It applies to anyone who wishes to command influence. The world does not reward pure honesty. It rewards those who know how to present themselves. This is why Machiavelli warned against unnecessary transparency. Many people believe that revealing their every thought, their every weakness, their every intention makes them more likable, more trustworthy, but in reality it makes them vulnerable. A person who speaks too freely invites attack. A leader who reveals his every plan becomes predictable, and in the world of power, predictability is weakness. Does this mean one must be deceptive at all times? No. Machiavelli was not advocating for constant dishonesty. He simply understood that the truth is not always an ally. There are moments when deception is necessary, not out of malice, but out of survival. A warrior does not fight every battle with brute force alone. He uses strategy, deception, and timing to gain the advantage. This is where the balance of fear and respect truly takes shape. If you appear too harsh, you will be resented. If you appear too soft, you will be exploited. The key is to be controlled, deliberate, and always aware of how you are perceived. A person who knows when to be kind and when to be ruthless is untouchable, because their enemies can never predict them. But this raises a final critical question. How does one maintain control without losing oneself in power? How does a leader ensure that they rule with strength without becoming a tyrant? Machiavelli's teachings are often reduced to a guide for manipulation, but this is a shallow reading of his true philosophy. Yes, power requires cunning, and yes, fear is often a more reliable tool than love. But the ultimate challenge is not simply acquiring power, it is maintaining it, without letting it consume you. Many who rise to power find themselves trapped by it. The same strategies that elevated them begin to work against them. They become paranoid, ruthless to excess, or dependent on control. Machiavelli warned against this, not because he was concerned with morality, but because losing control of oneself is the quickest way to lose control over others. The first step to mastering power is self-awareness. A ruler, or anyone seeking to be feared and respected, must never let their emotions dictate their actions. Anger, pride, greed. These are dangerous weaknesses. Machiavelli admired leaders who could act without being ruled by impulse. The ability to strike when necessary, but never out of desperation. The ability to retreat when it serves your interests rather than out of cowardice. A leader who is ruled by emotion is not a leader. He is a slave to his own weaknesses. This is why Machiavelli emphasized the importance of flexibility. A leader must be able to adapt, to change course when necessary, to abandon outdated beliefs when they no longer serve him. The world is not static, and those who cling stubbornly to rigid ideas often find themselves left behind. Machiavelli had no respect for idealists who insisted on a single path, regardless of the circumstances. He admired those who could bend without breaking, who could shift tactics without losing sight of their ultimate goal. But power is a dangerous drug. Those who taste it often develop an addiction. They begin to rule not for the sake of stability or success, but for the sake of domination. This is where many great leaders fall. They forget that power is not an end in itself, it is a means to an end. Machiavelli understood that the pursuit of power for its own sake leads to destruction. A leader who becomes obsessed with control will eventually create enemies who seek to overthrow him. This is why he advised rulers to be strategic in their use of fear. Fear is effective, but too much of it breeds resentment. If people believe you are cruel for cruelty's sake, they will wait for the moment to strike back. But if your strength is seen as necessary, as calculated rather than erratic, your rule will be far more stable. People can tolerate a leader who is strict, but they will not tolerate one who is reckless. Machiavelli also understood the importance of maintaining a public image. Even the most ruthless leaders must appear just. A ruler who is feared but not respected will fall. Respect comes from control, from measured action, from never revealing weakness. This does not mean one must never show vulnerability, but one must choose when to reveal it and to whom. The ability to manage perception is one of the most powerful tools a person can have. But ultimately, power is fleeting. Even the strongest rulers fall. Even the most feared leaders meet their end. What remains is legacy. Machiavelli believed that the greatest leaders were those who shaped the world beyond their own lifetime. Those who were not just feared in their era, but remembered throughout history. The question is not simply how to rule, but how to leave behind something greater than yourself. So as we conclude, ask yourself, do you seek power simply for the sake of control, or do you seek it to shape something lasting? Because the difference between a tyrant and a true leader is not in their methods, it is in their purpose. Those who crave power for its own sake are doomed to lose it. But those who understand its true nature, who use it wisely, and who remain in control of themselves, they are the ones who are feared, respected, and ultimately remembered.